memory of Imam Hussain alayhi salam was back in Nairobi, Kenya, where I grew up, and it was a community of Shias who came together and were performing a majalis, and they had a number of masaib or lamentations for the Imam. At that time the majalis were in Urdu, but it is my first language as well, so I was able to understand it, and I always wondered why people cried for him. But as I grew a bit older, I understood what made him different from the other Imams or from other personalities that we revere. And then I started to understand what his importance is, and it then started to have an effect on my life.
Alhamdulillah, my first memory of Imam Hussain was when my parents used to take me to mosque during Muharram especially, and I used to sort of wonder why at that time people were wearing black and all the rest.
My earliest memory is when I was 12 years old and I was taken to the Hussainiyas. It is the first time I remembered the majalis and remembered the pain and suffering of a personality in Islam named Imam Hussain.
I remember 8 or 9 years old. We used to do latum in the street.
I always wondered why people cried for him, but as I grew a bit older, I understood what made him different.
I still remember our first recitation was in the ladies' side, where my mum held us up to the mic, and we recited our very first Noha.
O children of Israel, I, Jesus, son of Mary, have been sent down unto you to make lawful things which were unlawful to you in the past.
Woe unto me, how I struggle to see and not be able to lay my eyes on the wonders of this world. Why, oh why has my Lord removed this blessing from me? Of what sin have I committed?
Of what blessing has He the Exalted removed from you, my dear brother? I, Jesus, son of Mary, with the power from the one Lord, shall reinstate the light back into your eyes, and soon you shall be able to see again. In the name of the one Lord, Lord of the worlds, the most beneficent, the most merciful, all things belong to Him, and all things shall return to Him. See, in the name of your Lord.
My eyes! How can this be? Thank you, O Jesus. Thank you. You indeed are my blessing, our blessing, the Messiah, the Anointed One, the Messiah, the Anointed One, the Messiah, the Anointed One.
I moved to the UK actually in Leicester directly in 2001, which was about 12 or 13 years ago. The environment was very different from an East African environment where I had grown up. It was a big culture shock, to be honest, and also the religiosity, the spirituality was a little different as well here as it was, as it would have been back home. However, I feel that anyone that comes to a new place needs to adapt to that place, needs to know the culture and needs to know the language. They need to know how the people think, in particular the young people. And so I feel that at this point in my life, I have done what I can to adapt to that lifestyle and to know the needs of the community that I serve, that's here in Leicester, which would be very different from the needs of communities back in East Africa up to today. Muharram back in East Africa was full of norm and tradition, which was something that I could relate to and others could relate to as well. Muharram here in the UK, has a mixture. There is a bit of a part of the community that wants to see modernity and contemporary means. And there is another part of the community that wants to keep the norm and the tradition. And I feel that the UK in particular is going through a change where the Shias who haven't originally been here, this hasn't been their home country, are moving towards adapting themselves to the environment over here, in which they can be able to spread the message of Imam Hussain, cry for Imam Hussain, lament for him, and also keep certain parts of their culture, but at the same time adapt themselves to the lifestyle here in the UK.
So, the so-called Saint Mary has finally arrived. However, on this occasion, she is not alone. Mary, is this your child? Do you not see that how ridiculous this situation has become? She once gave an impression of being an honest and humble lady. However, what do we see? She has an illegitimate child in her arms. Mary, say something. Break your fast of silence. Oh people, do you not see that she has kept a fast of silence? A fast of silence. She has kept a fast of silence to hide her deeds. Mary, speak, say something. High priests and scholars of this city, if you allow me, I shall ask this child on your behalf. Tell me, O child, who are you? Who are you?
I was given the responsibility to organize a traditional Hussain Day back in January 2012, but you can count to be 2 years from now. It was the Safar of that year, and I had looked into various means into why Hussain Days were carried out in our communities traditionally, how we did them back home and how they're done here. And what I found was they were very monotonous. They were speech after speech and maybe some nauha or some sort of recitation, lamentation in between. And it would be a 2 or 3 hour program in which I personally, as a teacher, I wouldn't see it affecting me or changing my mind about anything. So I thought about how could I change this to make it more interesting to the audience. A very renowned sheikh, whose name is Sheikh Mujtaba Musa, who's here in Leicester, gave me a DVD about a very interesting film he'd seen. It was called The Green Star. And when I watched it, it was very touching. I remember the first time I watched it, I had tears in my eyes. And I felt that I should definitely show this as part of the Hussain Day, but it was an hour and a half long. And I couldn't get people into a room and just put a DVD on for them. So I thought, how could I get the youths involved? What I did was I learned how to edit videos, and I edited the whole video, reduced it to 45 minutes. And the bits that were removed, I had the youths act them out. So I mixed a film with theatre, and we called it a theatrical film performance. And we did it right here in the Leicester Masjid. It was very, very well appreciated by the Christians that came. That was our first event called the Redemptive Suffering of Hussain, son of Ali, and Jesus, son of Mary. And the Christians left that day feeling that they had actually learned something. I remember one lady had said that one of the counselors had come in the lady's side, and she left with tears in her eyes, and she was a Hindu lady. So that's what sparked off my interest in performing arts. We went from our first Hussain Day, so to speak, in which we did a performance, and it was very well appreciated. And I always wanted to improve it, do it again, because the youths really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed directing them. And it brought everyone together. Everyone in the community had something to do. So we went through the Ramadan of that year. And as you know, obviously in the Shia communities, you've got the Ramadan and the Muharram as the two most important parts of the year. And in that Ramadan, I thought we'd put up another interfaith event in which we would talk about the fasting aspect of Christians and Muslims. And so I came up with research which then I formed into a play called The Fast of Maryam and Isa, which talked about the fast of baby Maryam, the fast of not speaking, as it says in the Holy Quran, and the fast of Isa as portrayed by the Christians, which was the 40-day fast in the wilderness. And we did a play on this as well. It was two scenes. One was a Muslim point of view and the other one was a Christian point of view. And this was even more well received. We went down towards, we came towards Eid al-Hajj that year. It was still 2012. We put on another performance called The Legacy of Abraham. And here we did the sacrifice of Abraham and his descendants, because I felt that Abraham was a very important prophet that could bring the three religions of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam together. And the fact that we think of the sacrifice of Abraham as the momentous sacrifice, in that the ram was actually replaced by the head of Hussain alayhi salam. I felt that I should be able to show this to other faiths. And so we came up with this play called The Sacrifice of Abraham and his descendants being not only Ismail but also Hussain alayhi salam. We went on that year. We came into January of 2013. That was Safar again. And again we put up our next Hussain Day. This was our second one then. And we thought we'd put up a play on one of the companions of the Holy Imam. In particular, one that other faiths could relate to. And so we chose Wahab, the Christian martyr of Karbala, because the Christians could be able to identify with this person and feel that they have some sort of ownership in the story of Karbala itself. Because Wahab was a Christian before he actually converted, and he did give his life for Imam Hussain alayhi salam. So this was done for the first time in a professional theatre with professional sound systems and lighting, etc. And so it grew from there. And most recently, the Ramadan of this year, which has just been a few months ago, we did another performance called Revelations, which talked about the three revelations of the Tawrat to Prophet Moses, the Injil or the Gospel to Prophet Jesus, and the Holy Quran to Prophet Muhammad. And we looked around the circumstances surrounding the point at which the revelations actually did occur to these three prophets and the similarities around this. Again, very well received by the audience. Inshallah, we're looking to do our next performance, which is going to be our sixth one in the near future. When I think back at the first play that I did, which was the redemptive suffering of Hussein and Ali, Hussein and Jesus, I remember sitting there, and it took me about a month to prepare this play, and I would do all the research to find the video clips, to find the storyline, to put the script together, to think of what props I would need, what actors I'd need, which actor would fit what role. And I remember putting it all together, and it used to be, I used to enjoy spending hours and hours at home alone. And it was December time. I remember it was just hours on end I'd spend on this. And I used to end up very often with just tears in my eyes, very, very intense feelings in just doing this, because I felt that somebody was watching over me doing this. I felt like someone wanted me to do this in a different way, like as though what's being done now isn't enough and that something new has to be there to let people know, because we can't be holding such a precious religion given by the blood of Hussein and just keep it to ourselves. I felt very strongly about that. And I felt that we have to do more to let the people around us, this community that we've come to, this country that we've come to let these people know what is important to us, what makes us Shias. And that drove me to put as much work as possible into the first particular performance. And if you look at every single performance after that, Hussein has been mentioned in one way or another. I remember one of the performances called Sacrifice, the sacrifice of Abraham and his descendants. Towards the end, the audience was literally in tears, and it was just like a majalis had been recited, like a latmiya had been recited. I could hear the cries of the people from the back of the stage, and I remember just leaning on the edge of the stage and waiting for that moment to see the reactions of the people, because I knew what were the most emotional moments in the play. And the effect was so dramatic that I felt really in touch with the Imam and his family, and I felt that I had accomplished my task in that particular performance. And so it goes with each and every performance. I want to bring out the emotion from the people by showing them something that they can imagine without visualizing in your head, but something that can be put in front of their eyes so that they can see what it might have looked like. Although no matter how hard we try, there is no way that we can visualize or perform or put up something to show what actually happened on the plains of Karbala in 61 AH.
We were present at the time of the first prophet, Adam, peace be upon him.
And we will be present at the time of the final authority, the awaited Messiah.
Light we are made of, and obey is what we do, his commands unto us.
There is no doubt that to confront an angel requires a special awareness.
Unless the soul of a man is great and strong,
cannot he bear the burden of prophethood?
Nor can he encounter an angel, especially an archangel.
Especially an archangel.
I think that the Shia community lacks in a lot of things. We are not forthright, we are not forthcoming, and I strongly feel that the Shia community feels very subdued and feels the inferiority complex, so to call. It may be because of the history of molestation, the history of oppression that we have gone through, and although we might not have gone through it ourselves, we have to practice things like taqiyya or whatever it might be. We feel oppressed. But Imam Hussain also felt oppressed. It didn't stop him from making a stand, showing people what he was standing for. And so whether we are oppressed or not should not matter. It should be more of a driving force for us to show ourselves, to show what we believe in. And I feel that using methods, new means of showing this is the best way to do that. I think we should think big. I have no hesitation in saying that one day, hopefully, a performance about Imam Hussain could find its way into the West End or into the theaters in New York. Because if you look at the statistics, 13 million people benefit from West End performances, and they're affected by it, and they have religious performances there as well, to do with Christianity. There isn't anything on Islam. I think that the Shia community needs to think big and think of new ideas. So I see these performances going as far as it is possible for it to go, as far as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can give us the ma'rifah and the blessings to take this forward, because it is His message that we're propagating to the people. And we need to do our part to make sure that everyone has heard about the message of Imam Hussain in this land that we are living in which there is freedom of religion, freedom of speech. We're not stopped by any forces, and so we should take advantage of that, even though we're not doing so at the moment.
Of Kufa, has Hussain committed any crime against you? Has he shed a single drop of your blood, or snatched away any of your rights? Why then would you want to kill him? I swear by God that if you continue in this manner, then you will be deprived of the mercy of the Lord until the day of reckoning. Who am I, you ask? Who am I? أنا وهب ibn Abdullah qalbi. I am Wahab, son of Abdullah qalbi. I'm a Christian. When I met Imam Hussain, I was drawn towards his passion, his charisma, and through that I became a follower. I swear by the sun, the moon and the stars, I swear by the heavens and the earth, I swear by the universe and every living creature within it, that Jesus Christ, Son of Mary, is waiting ever so impatiently to see Hussein in the hereafter.
My role in the play with Abdullah Theatres is to script write and research with Shabab and Ali Abbas. Just got into it because Ali Abbas realised that I've got a passion for writing, and he offered me to start script writing research with him and Shabab, and so then we started off, and I started off with the Revelations play, which we all researched each scenes, and then we put it together into a script, which took a good 2 weeks to put together. It was a very good experience. It took a lot of hard work and sleepless nights to get all the research authenticated, and then we had to put together a document with all the references to match each line and every single word of the script. And when we got the script authenticated, again compared it with the research, which was really hard work, but it was a very good experience to see it being played. I didn't realise that I actually wrote what was being performed to me, so it was a very speechless moment.
It's difficult for me to answer which character I relate to most in Ashura. I think the best way I can answer a question like that would be that there is something for every age group as you go from your infancy all the way up to your old age. When I was young, I remember I used to be able to relate to the personality of Hazrat Qasim, Hazrat Ali Asghar. When I became 18 years old, I used to relate very well to, I used to feel that closeness with the personality of Hazrat Ali Akbar, and I remember going to the mosque to be able to pray specifically on his night. And now I imagine I am at the age which was the age of Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam, and so he holds a very, very important status in my life now as well. And when I, perhaps in the future, no matter how long somebody has life for, I think every age, whether you're a man or whether you're a woman, whether you're an infant or whether you're old, whether you're a youth or whether you are in your middle ages, you will find something in Karbala where you can be able to relate to that character and see how that character put Islam as the stronghold, as the first priority before anything else, including their own lives, and how we can actually apply that in our own lives. So I think every person at every time, whether you're black, somebody called John, who was a martyr, he was an African martyr. He was a man, and equally on the other side you see Bibi Fizda was there, who was also African. In her old age, you see people who are Romans and people. There's even stories that the Hindus were somehow related, somehow involved in the Battle of Karbala through the Hussaini Brahmins. And so Hussein is not something that we can keep in our hearts and in our mosques closed. He is a lot more than that, and we have to let that power out and let it spread as much as we possibly can. I remember the most intense feeling that I've had about Imam Hussain alayhi salam was not actually directly related to him, but more so with his mother, Bi Fatimatu Zahra salamullahi alayha. And that was at the time when I was doing these so-called Karbala models back home when I was still in Kenya. And I remember we did it in the first year and the second year and the third year. And in my first 2 years, I had people to help me. I had people who I could rely on, and I did it together with some other people, and we were able to show our creativity. In the third year, I remember all my friends had their exams, and they were final exams, and they were not able to spend that time for this particular thing. They felt that perhaps it was done for the past 2 years and it shouldn't necessarily, have to continue every year. But I felt that no matter what, I have to do this, and so I did it on my own. It was really, really difficult, and I spent hours on end in the mosque. I would come early and leave late, and I'd spend weeks and weeks just working on this model, which some people would just pass it by and they wouldn't give a second thought to it. It was just for our community. It wasn't for interfaith purposes at that point. But I felt that I should do this for the Imam. And one evening, one afternoon, I was at that particular place in the mosque, and I was alone, and I felt this huge surge, this feeling of unexplainable emotion that I couldn't find in any majalis, for instance, or any sort of latmiya. And I felt the presence of the mother of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, who was there, and it was extremely touching to my soul. I can remember it till today. It's something that I haven't experienced till today again.